Okay, pause the video and play when you're ready to go through the answers. Okay, so this is a trapezium. It's got two parallel sides and it's a four-sided shape. So we've got area is equal to half of the sum of the parallel sides multiplied by the perpendicular height. So this one is going to be 50 meters squared. Now for this one, if you invest £500 at 6% interest, it's going to be multiplied by 1.06, and we are investing it for 12 years. So it's 5,000. I just made a mistake there. So 5,000 multiplied by 1.06 to the power of 12, and you get £10,060.98. Remember, it's got to be the two decimal places because it's just money. Now this one, you need to spot that this is an isosceles triangle. So 180 take away 30 is 150. Divide that by 2, the base angles must be 75 each. Then x is going to be 180, subtract 75, which is going to be 105 degrees. Now remember, when you're rationalizing with a surd like this on the bottom, you need to multiply it by the difference of its two squares. So 2 minus root 5 over 2 minus root 5. So on the numerator, 3 lots of all of this is going to be 6 minus 3 root 5. And this is where it gets a bit more complicated. So we've got 2 plus root 5 multiplied by 2 minus root 5. So we've got 4, 2 root 5, take away 2 root 5. So those are going to cancel. Root 5 multiplied by root 5 is just 5. So that's going to be minus 5. And then 4 subtract 5 is minus 1. So actually we've got that. Now this just looks unmathematical. You don't want to have -1 on the bottom. So we could have the negative on the outside. So we've got minus 6 minus 3 root 5, or sometimes we just expand this out. So it would be minus 6 plus 3 root 5. All of these are correct, but the last one is probably the most mathematical looking. Okay, so they've just expanded that out. Minus 6, and then you've got minus times a minus is going to be plus 3 root 5. Okay, today's lesson, we've got area of a triangle using the sine rule. So copy that down as your title, pause the video and play when you're ready to go through the example. Okay, so you know already that you can just work out the area of a triangle by doing half the base times the perpendicular height. Okay, so if you've got a normal looking triangle, that's the base, you need the perpendicular height. Okay, so we can already do that. There is another way of working it out, and it involves the sine rule. So you need to copy this down. It's half AB sine capital C. Okay, so that is how we can work out the area of a triangle. Now, this allows us to work out the area of a triangle when we don't have the perpendicular height. And all it means is half of A and B multiplied by the angle, the sine of the angle between them. So if that's A and that's B, in order to use this formula, we need to know the angle in between them here. Okay, so we need to know angle C. So half A times B multiplied by the angle in between them. And that's all it is, okay? So you just need to learn that formula and then it's fairly straightforward. So if we go through the first example, so you can copy this down after I've gone through it. We've got two sides and the angle between it. So the area is just going to be half of AB sine C. We've got half of 6 times 7 times sine of the angle in between it. You just type that into your calculator. So half times 6 times 7 times sine 60. And I've chosen to leave it as a decimal. So we've got 18.19 centimeters squared to 2 decimal places. Okay, all you need is two sides and the angle between them. So for this one, okay, well, all you need is two sides and the angle between them. This 13 is irrelevant. We don't actually need it. So area is going to be half of 6.4 multiplied by 10.5 multiplied by sine of the angle between them. You just have to type that into your calculator. So we've got half multiplied by 6.4, multiplied by 10.5, multiplied by sine 100. Again, I'm going to choose to round it to a couple of decimal places. So we've got 33.09 centimeters squared, 2 decimal places. The last question that I want to go through is slightly harder. So it's a problem solving question. We've got 2 sides, but we need to work out the angle between them. Now we're told that the area is 25 centimeters squared. So if I write the whole thing out, area is half AB sine C. We're going to substitute in what we know. So we know that the area is 25. Half stays the same. We know that A and B must be 8 and 10. So half times 8 times 10 times sine C. Now to make this a bit easier, I'm just going to tidy this up. So I'm going to say that 25, half of 8 is 4 times 10 is 40. So 25 equals 40 times sine C. So if I divide both sides by 40, 25 divided by 40 gives me 0.625. And that's equal to sine C. And by now you know that to work out what C is, you need to do sine. So I'm just going to write it here, sine to the minus 1 of 0.625. And that will give us, if I go up here, that will give us an answer of, so sine to the minus 1 of 0.625. Going to give me an angle of 38.68 degrees, 2 decimal places. Okay, so you can just work it out from that. The next few slides have got plenty of questions. Make sure you are marking your answers in purple pen. Those are the answers. Make sure you are marking your answers in purple. Okay, so more practice questions for you to do. And the answers. Okay, and then we've got a GCSE question. So pause the video, play when you're ready to go through the answer. Okay, so we've got 2 different ways that we can do this. Actually, you could still use this one. So half the base times the perpendicular height. We need the perpendicular height. Now, because these 2 angles are the same, you know that this is an isosceles triangle. So actually, if you split it straight down the middle, you've made 2 right-angled triangles. So what you can do is you can actually work out the perpendicular height here. You have got a right-angled triangle. So if we halve it, this length must be 6 if I was to draw it out again. So the left-hand side, this is 6. My angle has stayed the same. And I can just use SOHCAHTOA. So that's my hypotenuse. That's my opposite. That's my adjacent. I've got the opposite and the adjacent. So I can say that tan 54 is equal to x divided by 6. So 6 tan 54 must give me my height. So my height, I just type that in, 6 tan 54. My height must be 8.25. And again, I've got all of that. So then all I can do to work out the area, I can just do half times my whole base, which is now 12, multiplied by my height, which is the 8.25 from before. And then if you work that out, the area should be 49. It says 3 significant figures, so it's going to be 49.5 centimeters squared. Okay, so that is the answer. You could have done it different ways. So you've got here, I've done the top way, I believe. You've got the second one and the third one. So there is a lot of different ways that you could have answered that question. Okay, the last question. They're trying to make it harder by putting in algebra. Okay, so the area is equal to half of A times B times sine 30. So let's substitute what we've got in. So the area is A. Half of 2x is just x. So x times x is x squared. And you should know from previous lessons that sine 30 is a half. Okay, so sine 30 is a half. So what you can do is you can multiply both sides by 2, and you get 2a equals x squared, and then you can square root both sides, which is why that's the answer. For those of you that have forgotten why sine 30 is a half, you should remember the exact triangles that we had. So you should have seen this before, where that's 1, that's 2. You can use Pythagoras to tell you that that's 3. That's 60 degrees, that's 30 degrees. So sine 30 is going to be the opposite divided by the hypotenuse, which is a half. Okay, so if that's not making any sense, let me know and I can arrange a slightly different video to help explain that. Okay, to finish, we've got exit tickets. So this one, you should have half times 9 times 11 times sine 44. Okay, so it's number or letter B. The next one. So if you type that into a calculator, what answer do you get? I believe you should get 3.9015. Okay. Good work. Hope that made sense. Let me know if not, and I can go through some more examples. Look forward to teaching you tomorrow.